Hello everyone and welcome to Janet's Craft Corner. Today we are going to be making 3 spring farmhouse signs. These signs can be used in a variety of frames and display units or can be displayed on their own on shelves. I'm going to use, in this case, I'm going to use scrapbook paper for the background on one of them, and this is the paper that I'm going to use. So I'm going to take, and what I'm going to do is flip this over, and I'm going to lay my piece that I'm going to use at the top face down so that my scrapbook paper is going the right orientation and my board is going the right orientation. I'm going to get me a pencil and I'm going to draw me a line around the outside edge. I want to make that as close as I can to the edge, but it doesn't have to be right up on it because we can cut a little bit inside of it, and that'll be all we need. And we're going to cut that out by using our scissors and just cutting slightly inside that line we just drew. So here we go. We're going to cut right inside that line. And pretty much as close to the line as you can get. You know, on top of the line is fine. You don't want to go in too far because it's okay to have it be a little bit big. There's a way we're going to take it off on the end, but it's not okay for it to be too little because then you won't be able to cover your piece completely. So okay, there we go. That piece is cut out, and we'll set the rest of that off to the side. And see, this is what's going to go on here, and that's going to be actually the first thing that we do is put that on. 2 ways of doing Mod Podge. There's the wet method and the dry method. In the dry method, you're going to do your Mod Podge on your board ahead of time and let it fully dry. And then you're going to lay your piece of scrapbook paper on it. You're going to lay a piece of parchment paper on it, and you're going to use a dry iron to iron it and heat activate that Mod Podge. In the wet method, we're going to do it today. You're going to put the Mod Podge on, and then you're going to, while the Mod Podge is still wet, you're going to lay the scrapbook paper directly on it and slide it. You can slide it a little bit if you need to, and then it's stuck on. There's 2 things you need to know when you're doing the wet method. 1, you want it to still be wet, so you need to kind of work a little bit quickly. I usually put down a good layer and then go back and put a layer right on top so that the top layer is definitely wet. The other disadvantage to using the wet method over the dry method is that when you use the wet method, you are more likely to get wrinkles and little clumps in your paper, you know, little tears, little wrinkles, whatever. There's not much you can do about that except be careful as you're applying your paper. Try not to slide it too roughly, I guess is the best term for that. And so you will, if you really want it on there without any possible little wrinkles and tears, etc., you want it to look more pristine, then I strongly recommend that you use the dry method, where you put it on, you let it dry, and then you come back through and use heat to apply it. But if you don't care, or you're careful and you can handle it, then use the wet method. It's a lot quicker because you don't have to think ahead, which, like I said, I forgot to do this time. Didn't think ahead and do my white either, so see, you guys get to see everything this time. So there's my Mod Podge painted on, and I'm going to take my piece of scrapbook paper and basically just lay it on here. Going to do my best to center it up, but it's going to stick out a little bit on all edges, and that's okay. We're going to take care of that in a minute after it dries really good. But for right now, that's good. So I'm going to push it out from the middle and out to make sure that I get it. And you know, like here, I got it a little off there, so I slid it. Make sure I get it all on there really well, and then that should take care of that piece. Now then, the other 2 pieces we're going to paint the normal way. And something I do when I paint larger pieces like this is I will kind of just pour the paint right on it rather than put it in the palette and get my brush in it. And when I do it that way, I kind of want to have my other board ready so that if I have extra paint on there, I can use it to paint items on my other board. So I do have my painting board ready. If you don't know how to make a painting board, there's a tutorial in our Technique Tuesday videos, so you can check that out. But this is my painting board for today, and things are grouped by color the way I want to paint them. So this is where we're going to start. But right now we're going to do white. No, we're going to do light blue like it's the sky on this one, and we're going to do white on that one. So I'm going to do some light blue paint. I'm just going to squeeze a little bit of it out here. Out. Okay, let's see, it's a little bit out. I mean, it's easy to get too much. It's not a big deal if you don't have enough, because you can then just go back through and add some more as you need to. So I usually just try to aim it so I don't get too much, but I'm usually not very good at that, I'll be honest. I usually have way too much. If you have too much, there are lots of ways to get it off. You can slide it off the ends like I'm going here, and you can just take that piece and go on over here and put it on your palette rather than keep reusing your brush. Or you can just take a wet one and wipe down through the middle of it, or use another brush or a sponge to get some of it off and put it on any pieces that need to have that color on them. I don't think I have any pieces that need to have this color on them this time, so I'm going to be, it'd be best if I don't have very much extra. I just don't want to, I try not to waste any more than I have to, but I'm not very good at judging. Looks like I may have done pretty good here though. Remember that when you're painting pieces, you always want to start in the middle and work your way out to the edges. This will keep your edges as clean as possible. It won't be perfect, but it will keep them a lot cleaner than if you bring your brush onto the piece at any point, so that you don't have to do a lot of trimming. And I prefer to try to avoid trimming. Remember, these are handmade. They don't need to be perfect, so I do try to avoid trimming as much as possible. And by doing this, I can usually do that. Okay, so there's that piece painted. And like I said, I don't think we have anything that needs that blue. And then we're going to do our white on this one. Okay, put a little bit of white down. And again, we're going to do the same, spread it out, but I'm going to, before I start spreading, I have a few pieces on my board that are white. My daisy up here, and my hello word. So I'm going to get me a sponge, and I'm just going to kind of dip it in this. And you know, with the sponges, you want to load it on and then offload as much as possible. So see, I can offload onto this piece of wood and then come up here and put it on my daisy in this case. You want to keep your sponge, you want to keep it as semi-dry as possible. You don't want to gob of paint on it, and you want to use a very light pressure when you're doing this to keep it from going down on your edges, and that'll keep your edges looking good. They'll be somewhat even at least, and they won't have very much on them. And then you also, like I said, want to use a very light touch so that you're not going down on those edges much, keeping it up above that. And that, you know, yes, you may need to do 2 or 3 coats of any given color when you do it this way, but it's okay. It's better to do 2 or 3 really light coats than to do one heavier coat and have the edges look a mess, I guess is the best term for it. And this will keep your edges looking nice. So we're going to do that. I'm going to see if there's any place else I want. If I've got any edges that are showing that I need to touch up. Any place that I'm not gotten it on there. Good enough. I think that looks good enough on everything. So we're going to set that back up there. And then now we're going to get us a brush, and we're just going to take this and again spread it out from the center out to the edges of our board. And all those places where I had a little bit of extra and I kind of used it to offload my brush are going to be no big deal, because I'm going to paint right over the top of them. And that way I didn't have to use extra paint for doing the sponge painting on those couple small pieces, because I don't have very many pieces. Don't have very many, especially in the large pieces, that need different colors of paint. This has got a lot of different colors to make it look springy and bright. Now see, I've got too much paint here. I don't know if you can tell that by how thick that is, but I'm just going to take it like this. See, I've got a big glob of paint on there. Just take it right here and scrape it on the edge of my palette, which ends up taking paint off of the board. And now then I can take this on down like this and spread that out even further. Oops, I went off the see, I came on the edge there, and you can see if I can show you. See how that edge is now a mess? Because I came on that edge there rather than working my way off of all the edges. So then now I can come up here, because I just made a line across the top there with my white. If that's okay, we can fix that. And we'll do this. As you get towards the end of any section, you're going to have to lighten your brush stroke so so that you don't get lines across, you don't get lots of stroke marks on the top layer. So my light strokes, you really can't tell where I started my brush, whereas if I used my brush in a harder stroke, I could tell where I started my brush each time. So I can tell a little bit, but not as nearly as badly. Okay, and that takes care of that one, and we'll sit it over here to dry. Also, okay. And that takes care of our white pieces on there. And then we're going to just take our brush and clean it up. Okay, now then we're going to start painting all of our various pieces on our board. And most of these pieces, as you can see, are smaller. So we're going to end up, by the way, using, and I'm going to clean off that thumb where I got a bunch of paint. We're going to end up using the sponge for most of this painting. Actually, almost all, if not all. Well, it'll be a little bit of non-sponge painting, but we are going to end up using the sponge for most of this painting. So there, get the hands cleaned up a little bit. I always make a mess with the white, seems like. Okay, so these up here are kind of a bright yellow, so I have my paints already kind of portioned out here in these little pots. These are colors we're using this month in our Crafted by You, so I have them kind of proportioned in here. Okay, so I'm just going to dip in there, and you can see I get way too much. Can you see that? Get way too much paint on there. Can you see the little glob? But if I go over here and I move this one out of my way and I tab it around and get most of that off of there, then it looks like that, and there's not that glob. And so then we can do our pieces that we're going to do. And this color is not covering very well, but that's okay because we'll just do multiple coats. It's not a big deal. And when you're doing sponge painting, you can usually get by with about 2 coats without letting it dry good between them. After about 2 coats, it starts to pull off paint as much as it applies paint. And so you do want to let it dry then between those two, between that. So just kind of a note to yourself about that so that you know, oh, wait a minute, I'm pulling off paint. Watch what you're doing, and if it starts to look like you're pulling off paint, you need to let it dry a little more before you put the next coat on. And yellow is one of those where it needs usually at least 2, if not 3 or 4 coats. It just does not, it's a pretty bright color when you're done, but it doesn't cover real well for some reason. Whether you use a brush or a sponge, it doesn't. I've learned that. The technique does not seem to affect how well it covers. It just doesn't cover. It's like the pigmentation doesn't hold or something. I don't really know. But we'll finish here doing our yellow pieces. Even though this is big enough that I could do a brush on it, since I've got all these other pieces that I'm doing the sponge painting on, I'm just going to do it with the sponge. It's not that large a piece. It's not that big a deal. So in this one we've done, what have we done? What have we done for special techniques? We've already done the scrapbook paper. It's a nice special technique. We're going to do some dotting here in a little bit. I'll show you that. And then the other thing we're going to do is we're going to do a gradient. And gradients are fun to do and fun to have on your pieces because they kind of make them look a little more professional, I guess. A little more finished. Kind of maybe is the word I want. And when you're using sponge painting, you do want to keep going across it until you get a smooth finish, not a really kind of blotchy up with a bunch of little dots finish. And in this, I've gone over most pieces twice, most parts of these pieces twice. And as I'm starting to do this third time, I am starting to pull a little bit off. So I'm going to let that dry a little while before I use more of it. Okay, then we're going to go to our... Here we got leaves, so we're going to paint them kind of a green, kind of leafy green. Daisy is going to sit up on top of that, so we just need to make sure we get up underneath there enough that we have a good coating. And in this case, we've got a line in the middle, and a lot of times I would use sponge to make sure that line shows through. But when the line is straight, you can use a brush because you can keep your brush going the same direction as the line, and then if you need to, use the brush again, just the edge of your brush, to clean that line out, and it'll still show very well, like that's doing. There's that. Okay, that's all that green I have. Okay, so then we're gonna say, let's see, what color do we want our pot to be? I mean, you can make your pot very much any color you want. Might make it a terracotta normally, but I didn't grab the terracotta, so let's make it this coral color. It's kind of pretty. And it's, again, a larger piece, so we're going to use the brush for it. Even though I'm going to end up using a sponge for most of these other pieces for this, we're going to use the brush for this part. Actually, I wish I hadn't done this part right now. Oops, I forgot to do my stem. We'll get that in a little bit. This is one of the few pieces where I've got to be careful where I go here, because my stem and my pot both have the same, both are on the same piece, and so got to be a little careful with that edge there. But it's a straight line, so it's pretty easy to do. You don't have to do that with our pieces very often. We try to cut a separate piece so that you have a piece that's laying over the top, so you can kind of mix your colors meet underneath another piece. But in this case, we didn't. So we'll just do that. There we go. Okay, we're going to go back over here to our green. I'm going to keep that open for a second. We're going to go back over here to our green. And we're going to end up using two brushes on this because I forgot to do my sponge, my stem. And this I just need a very little bit. And I'm going to just go really carefully there. Okay, I took care of that guy. And this stem is very thin, so doing it, making sure you come off both sides is not really possible. So you just got to be really gentle in the way you paint. Okay, now then back to our pink, our coral, or what do you want to call that color. And I think I'm going to do this in the coral, and then I've got a piece of the umbrella and a piece of the and a letter from the spring word. Okay, again, you know, load some on and then offload it. I'm going to move this yellow one so I don't get it messed up, because I'm going to have to use it again, I'm sure. And I'm going to, basically do one at a time. Even though that goes over a little bit, this sponge is not wide enough to get both of them well. So we'll do one of them at a time. Come down one edge, coming down this outside one first, just because that's the one I chose. No logic to that. And then I will then reload my brush and come down the inside one. And they're overlapping a little bit, but not a lot. You can't really tell it when you get all done. Because even though that inner edge has a little bit more paint than the outer edge has, you can't tell that at all. And then we're going to do the same thing across the bottom. And actually I should have done this in a different order so that it would have made it easier to do my butterfly, because the gradient I'm going to do on my butterfly, and the coral is going to be the one in the middle. I think I'm going to use a light pink on the outer edges, and the purple on the bottom, and then the coral across the middle. If you are a member of our Crafted by You subscription, monthly subscription box, then you're getting the Hello Spring piece in your box this month as your extra piece. One of the things we do with our boxes is we give our people an extra piece. We have the piece that we're making that month, but we also give them usually an extra small piece that they can just do when they want on their own to have fun with and kind of be creative with. Usually I give them all the paints they need for that one. I think you guys are going to find out I screwed up this month and didn't quite give you all the paints you need. Hopefully you still have the paints from last month, because that's what I'm using to fill out the rest of mine. So, okay, and then I'm going to do the eye in this guy, in this coral. With this piece, the spring and the umbrella going at the same piece, and I'm usually a perfectionist, and so knowing me, I would want all the colors in the exact same order. I decided on this piece I really don't, so I tried to mix them up by putting them, matching the outside, like in this case, the outside edge of the umbrella with an eye from the middle. Okay, and then I'll have to wait to do the middle of this because you have to have the outer two colors on first. So we're going to do the purple next, and the purple is the bottom part of our the bottom part here of our butterfly, as well as this piece and the S. So let's get us another. I have to cut me another. Let's cut some more. I usually cut my sponges into quarters. This time I used the top half of that sponge as a full piece. But as you saw, once it's dried, I can just cut that dried part off, and then that leaves me with the rest of my sponge to use. And I'm going to have to trim my edges here a little bit because I want it to be as flat as possible. And it's kind of concave. Is that the correct word, guys? I think that's the correct word. Okay, so we're going to use our lavender. We're going to use this one, I guess. Go in there and get the lavender. And we're going to do it right here. And so we're going to do the bottom half of the bottom third of our butterfly. So I'm going to go through that row of circles and then everywhere below that. The middle does not matter. It will end up being black for the body of the butterfly. But everything else you're going to be able to do. You're going to see us do with the sponge. Okay, and the black in the middle, we'll actually use a brush so that we have more control over where our edges land. Okay, there's that. And then we're also going to do, like I said, the S in this other piece. Let's get our S first. I'm kind of doing these a little bit different order than I might have done them if I had thought a little differently, but I didn't think to do the coral last, and so because I decided I wanted the coral pot, I guess that's why. But that's okay. It'll be just fine. But I don't want to let the coral sponge get all dried, so I'm trying to kind of hurry a little bit. You know, I usually don't hurry when I do any kind of painting because this is my stress relief. So I just take my time and enjoy. But I'm gonna hurry a little bit here because I want to show you how to do this gradient, but I have to get the outer edges done before I can do the middle. Okay, and then this outside, I think the P and the top half is going to be a light pink, which and again we're going to do 1/3, so we're going to come down and go past the dot, past the center row of little circles, so row of dots, what do you want to call those, and make sure we get everything else above that nice and good. Okay, now we have the two outer colors done and what we're going to do our gradient on. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to take our coral and we're going to put it on our sponge, and I'm going to do another round of this one before I do that, but then I'm going to talk you through the other part while I'm doing this. We're going to take the coral and we're going to put it on our sponge, and we're going to go down the center, kind of overlapping slightly, so that we don't get a hard edge anywhere along it. This is the objective. We want a nice soft blending edge there. And you can, some people will put both colors on their brush, on their sponge to really make that edge blend better. I don't do that very often because I tend to forget which half's which and typically take it in, put it in the wrong paint in the wrong order, and then I have to have a new sponge. So I don't do that very often. Every once in a while I do that because I really want to get blend well, but not too often because I can make it work without doing it. So the same thing we did before, we're going to offload the heck out of it over here. There we go. And we're just going to work our way. Basically, I'm kind of going to go down the middle of those dots. And as you can see, that doesn't make me a hard line. It just kind of makes a soft line. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here, make my edge go down through the middle of those dots. And it kind of makes a blended line down through the middle of each of those. And you know, you can do it wherever you want. I could have gone, you know, on either side of the dots. I could have decided that on this one side I was going to cover the dots with the coral. On one side I'm like, not. You can do it wherever you want it to do it, but it's the way I'm doing it. I'm kind of going down the middle of the dots. It kind of gives me a point of reference to know where I want to go. And that's how we get a blended, sort of a gradient. And if you have to go back, and I'm going to have to go back, I think, with the light pink maybe, it's not a big deal because you're still you're merging that edge with two colors. You just need to watch that you're not picking up that other color, or you'll end up with it streaked into your first color. So I'm being careful along that edge where the coral is to make sure I'm not getting there. I didn't feel like I had good coverage on that pink. There, that's much better. Okay, so there's those two. Okay, and then let's see, what other colors do we need to do here? Let's do, we're going to do a bright green, I think, on this other piece of umbrella. Okay, and we're going to do our G, and see, G for green. That made logical sense, right? Never does mine make logical sense, but it did this time. That's a pretty bright green. I like that bright green. You know, this umbrella is multiple colors, so you can choose whatever colors you feel like make you feel like spring, I guess. Colors you want. You can do it, you know, a black and white umbrella if you want, every other one. One set black, one set white. You can do whatever you want. It's your umbrella. Remember that. That's what's great about these pieces, is they're yours. So whatever works in your home, in your decor, you can do. And if you're very minimalist in colors and you don't like a lot of color, then do it in two colors. Do it in two tones of the same color. You know, light blue and a dark blue, or whatever feels right for you. I didn't do the center of my little flower up there. What color do we want that center to be? Not green. Let's, I like the coral. I really like this coral, so let's pop it up there. And for the center, what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to do a dot. So I'm going to put my in there, dip the tip of my brush down in there, and then I'm just going to put it right in the middle of this little circle. And then if I need to go out along that circle, I will, and I do, because I didn't get a big enough brush tip. But you want to, when you do that, when you do dots, you want to make sure that you do not go all the way down into your paint supply, whether it's on a palette or in a little tub thingy like I'm doing right now. You want to make sure that you don't touch the bottom in the paint supply, but you do touch the bottom of your brush to the surface of your piece. Okay, what do you think, guys? We're not doing too bad here. And then I want to see, what are we going to do on this last one? Bright blue, you think? Yeah, I think a bright blue. Because I'm going to use a bright blue. I'm going to do some, I'm going to experiment today. I don't experiment on here. I usually do things that I know I can successfully do. But I'm going to experiment a little bit today because I want to try something with the dots. I want to try mixing two colors with my dots. Kind of making them swirled up colors. Not a mixture of the two colors. So not white and blue makes a light blue, but a swirl of the two colors. So let's see how that works. This will be fun, guys, I promise. Okay, so we're going to take the bright blue, and I don't have bright blue in any of my little tubbies here, so we'll get one over here. And I'm going to put it on my palette. And I'm actually going to put a pretty good little splotch of it on my palette, because that's what I'm going to use when I mix the white with it. So I'll put that there. And I'm going to do the tip here on the umbrella and my handle, and then this piece and that end. So let's get me a sponge here. This one will do the trick. It's spring, guys. Is it feeling like spring in your neck of the woods? It's starting to feel like spring in my neck of the woods. We're not 100% there yet, but we're getting there. We had a cooler night last night, but then we were back up to 65 today. So it's kind of what spring is, isn't it? Where it's cool in the mornings and at night and in the mornings, and it's warmer in the middle of the day. So that's, we've been doing pretty good. We're getting there. Okay, you're going to see me experiment. And what's great about experimenting is if it doesn't work, we'll just paint over it. Not a big deal. But I think You know, rain is not white dots and it's not blue dots. It's kind of a mixture. The color, you know, the raindrops have a kind of a blue and a white both to them. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try, well, first of all, I'm going to fix my paint here because I must have touched it with something else as I was going there. And I'm going to have to fix that light blue, which is going to take a little bit more time. So we're going to have to let it dry again, but that's okay. We'll mess with a couple other things while we do this. Remember what I said? Mess it up, you just fix it. And I'm bad about that. I lay my pieces off to the side and then forget they're laying over there and then take another piece and lay them on top of them. But, so we're just going to touch this up a little bit. We've got kind of brownish colored. It's weird the color we've got, but that's okay. We're just going to touch this up. And as you do this, if you need to hit a little thicker layer of paint on it to get the, because this has got some blotch to it, to get the blotches out of it, you can. Or in this case, we're going to put the dots on it, so it's not going to be that important. Down there towards the end, it's a little more important, so I'm going to see if I can't get those filled in a little better than that. Okay, now that we're going to set that aside and let it dry. And while it's drying, we're going to take this piece back out. See if we can avoid hitting the one again. Okay, when you do this, you're going to end up, like I said, you're a little bit larger. Can you see that that sticks out over the edges there a little bit? Easy way to solve that. This is dry. It's completely dry. You can tell by touching it, it's completely dry. And I have a piece of sandpaper here. This is a little sandpaper doogie. And I'm just going to come along across the top edge of it and just pull down. And this is going to rough up that edge, but what it's also going to do, cut it at that spot of that, right at that edge. So you get across here enough that I can get it off. See, I'm pulling off pieces of it that are just, you know, that thin area where it was sticking out just a little bit. And that is good. That's a nice place to get those two. So that is how we're going to do that, to get those edges to be more precise. And that we don't care that they're perfect. They're not going to be perfect. We're kind of roughing that edge so that it's going to make that outside edge of it a little bit on the rough side. But we're keeping it from sticking over, which we do care about, because when it sticks over, you can see it on the back. And I personally don't like the back to look a mess either. I mean, if you don't care what the back looks like, I guess you can just if you want it to look more pristine on the front, then I would leave them sticking out on the edges and just remember that they're sticking out a little bit and not attach anything all the way out to the edge. But if you do care about how your back looks, then I would do like this, like I'm doing, and this will make my edge is going to look a little rougher. It's going to look a little more, what I call farmhousey, a little more distressed. But it's going to make sure that it doesn't stick out over that outside edge. And so, to me, that's more important than that edge looking pristine. And it depends on your decor, what's more important to you, really. See, that one there wasn't very much. There's a little bit more there. It's sticking out over that edge. Okay, now I'm going to get a microfiber cloth, and I'm going to wipe down my board, because I want to get all that dust off of there before I start gluing pieces onto it. So I'm going to wipe down my board, get it good and cleaned off. And then I kind of have a mess here on my table, and I'm actually going to use a little tool that I bought recently to use for this exact purpose. If I can find him, there he is. I have a little mini sweeper, and so we're going to turn him on, and he's going to pick up all of that for me, and that will get my surface back to where it's clean. And that'll see, that gets my surface back to where it's clean, so I'm not going to pick that up on my pieces as I go. Got him on Amazon. I don't remember what I searched. A desktop sweeper, maybe? I don't remember. Sounds good. And then what we're going to do, we got him ready to go. So he's done. And then our white one is done. I'll lay this over there and see if I can miss the blue one while it's still drying. And then what I'm going to do now is take that blue that I had up there, and I'm going to add some white to it. Not a lot, just a dollop of white kind of on top. And then I'm going to take the brush that I'm going to use to do my dotting, and I think it'll probably be the same one I used a little bit ago. And I'm going to kind of swirl them a little bit. My objective is to get a swirled up mess, not to make a new color. What do you think? Am I succeeding here? Can you even see that? Let's pull it down here where you can see it. Put new tape on my thing to hold my palette down, and can you tell? Doesn't want to let go, does it? Wow, that did not want to let go. Strong tape. Okay, turn that back down like that. Pull it this way. Let's just turn it around this way, so you can see that on here. As you can see, I'm just kind of blending, and I have kind of streaks in there. They're really not a light blue. It's not meant to be mixed perfectly. And if I felt like I got it too mixed, I would draw up some more, but I think that's pretty good. So then what I'm going to do is bring my blue piece back over, and it's not quite dry at the bottom, but if I start at the top, I think I'll be okay. So get these guys out of my way. I had to clean up my mess. And then I'm going to do like this, and I'm just going to use this color for my raindrops. Is this going to work, guys? What do you think? Not bad. It's a better color than I think than either the blue or the white would have been. You'll notice I'm not paying any attention to where my pieces go, because you want this to look as random as possible, but I'm not good at random. Anybody who's been around here very long knows I don't do random. And so this way I'm going to look more random because I'm going to end up covering parts of them. And it also makes it easier when you're doing it. You don't have to try to... the glue will go down on top of these just fine. These do take a little longer to dry than regular paint. You know, I know acrylic paint dries really fast. The dots won't dry as fast, and I'm actually going to use, before we're done here, I'll use a heat gun on them to make sure they're dry before I start assembling this piece. Because I'm kind of hurrying. If I were not doing a taping and I would just painting this for myself, I would do the dotting and then come back later, maybe even tomorrow, to do the gluing. But I don't think you want to wait till tomorrow, do you? So we'll get it done today by using a heat gun. Like I said, you want to be somewhat random, and my spacing is not perfect, but that's okay. You know, down in here it's just funny because you're not going to have any clue where the umbrella ends up, so it'll be fine. It'll make them look more random by having those pieces on top of it. It didn't turn out quite the way I was hoping it would turn out, but I think it turned out pretty good. I like the fact that they're not 100% blue, they're not 100% white. It's more of a lighter blue. It kind of blended itself together more. I think maybe I could have come up with a way to swirl it better. I don't know. Maybe if I dipped it in one and then dipped it in the other. Try that next time, maybe. But I kind of like, this is not bad. This is the experiment. And if I really was unhappy with it, I would sand it. I would let it all dry, and then I would sand it down, and then I would start over. That's the beauty of this. You can start over anytime you want. A lot of times I would just paint over, but with dots you would want to sand down because you'd have lots of funky little humps. But in this case, it's okay. Didn't turn out too bad. Like I said, it's not turning out the way I envisioned in my head. But, you know, a lot of things don't when I first try them. And you can go right off the edge. So I kind of usually go back to my edges and go kind of just barely on my edges, so it doesn't look like I started at even spacing there. And I'll look and see if there's any place that looks like I need extra. And I don't see any place. So then again, we're going to get another wet wipe here. We're going to do those today, aren't we? And we're going to clean off the tip of this brush. So I'm going to set this off to the side here. See if I can keep from hitting it again. Pull this back. I forgot to do the center of my butterfly, so I'm going to get me a little bit of black. You could use a brown if you wanted. You could use I don't know, what color are the centers butterflies. That just made a mess. Okay, we'll leave that sitting open so we can clean up our mess in a little bit. And then I'm going to get me a brush that's not too large. Not too small either. Let's go with this one, I guess. And I want to not get it too loaded because I want to very carefully draw my edge. Symmetrical, that's okay. Maybe I'll go through and make you guys a piece so that if you buy this one in the future, it'll have a piece that goes down the middle there. I think I will do that. Just not real pleased with how that has to be done. See, this is why I paint them, so that I can decide that, hey, you know what, this isn't easy enough for our people. We gotta do something different. So I'll make you a piece that goes on there. You'll just paint the piece and then glue it on. But for now, this works. Okay, so there we go. So now then, I think we have everything painted, right? Okay, so we're gonna put that away too. Okay, let that sit and dry while we do the drying on these. So I'm gonna cut this video at this point so that you don't have to listen to the hot heat gun. And I'm going to use my heat gun on it, and I'm going to dry it, and then we'll come back. Okay, everyone, welcome back. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take all of our pieces off of our tape board. Since I got all new tape today, my guess is it's going to be a fun project, but it's not going too bad. Do be careful. Anything that's got the cursive to it, it'll break easily if you're not careful when you're pulling it off the tape. That's where I always break them, is when I'm pulling them off the tape board. But kind of be careful on those, but other than that, just pull all your pieces out and lay them off here to the side, and then we'll start doing our gluing. Now, when you've got dots, even when you've dried them with the heat gun, I will tell you the middle is not very dry. So be very careful in that situation that you're not sliding your pieces, or you will have a mess of your dots. And the bad thing about using scrap paper is you no longer have a little set of grid to show you where things go. So you kind of have to figure it out on your own. So we're going to work on that one first, because that's always the hardest, is to figure out where the things go. I would do the butterfly first, but he's not quite dry, so we won't mess with him yet. So the one with the scrap paper on it is the one that says Bloom and Grow, and it has the little daisy down here in the bottom. So put our daisy down there, and then we're going to get our wording, and we're going to do Bloom. I might wish I'd done that in a brighter color, but it's fine. And Grow. And I'll put our daisy on, and I will warn you, the daisies are never the same. I'm not good at doing them perfect. Oh, I got lucky, I think. Make sure your pieces line up. Nah, maybe I didn't. I'm not sure. It's a little bit. So you want to make sure that all your little petals line up with the one underneath. You get it the right side, going the right direction before you start gluing. There, that's the best way. Okay. So I'm actually going to glue my daisy on first, just so I don't screw up and move it. So you don't need a lot of glue. I use a glue called Precision Art Glue. In just a second, I'll show you that glue. I don't remember which way this went. I think that's the way it went. Make sure you pay attention when you pick it up, which way it goes. Okay, that's the way that one goes. Okay, this is the Precision Art Glue that I use. It is called Art Glitter Designer Dries Clear Adhesive. I get it from Amazon, and if you look on Amazon, usually you can buy that 8-ounce bottle with 3 of these little guys. So the first time I buy it, I always buy that set, or if I run out of these guys. And then after that, I buy just the regular 8-ounce bottle, which is a little bit cheaper, but it's like, less than $1 different. And then we're going to glue this guy on there. I still don't think I got that quite right on my daisy, but it's good enough. And I put my daisy sitting. Now, if you needed to trim, you just noticed I didn't even look. If you needed to trim things, you could do that at this point, trim the black around the outside edges, but I'm not a perfectionist, so we're not even going to look. Most of this was done with sponge painting anyway, so it doesn't usually need much of a trim, if any. With letters, I try really hard to kind of go down every piece of the every piece of the letter, just so I make sure that it gets good adhesion in all spots. It doesn't really need that much glue, but I don't know, you know, I don't want to just put dots on it because then I might have spots that don't adhere good. And that is especially true for little pieces like this, where I want to make sure that I get it all on all of these little sections. And when we're a light coat, I don't want much, but I do want to try to get it on all these little sections so that I make sure that everything sticks down. And that's all there is to that one. If you're going to paint that one, I probably would have painted it like a bright green maybe, or a bright blue. I don't know. That's all there is to that one. That one's all done. See? Bloom and grow. Like I said, I may wish I'd done that in a brighter color, but it's good enough. Okay, then the butterfly one. That's the white one. We're going to turn it this way. It's got a mark where this piece goes. It does not have a mark where the butterfly goes. You kind of got to eyeball it. Again, I want to make sure that it adheres at all points, so I usually go all the way up and down it. I could just put dots at the top and the bottom, but this glue dries completely clear, so it doesn't matter if you get too much in a spot and it comes out on the edges, it's fine. And then you're just going to line this up. You want to try to make sure you get left to right, top to bottom, right, but then you've got those lines to cover so that you know exactly where it goes. And then he's still not quite dry in the middle, but he's good enough that I can, as long as I'm smart about the way I do this, I can make sure I don't put my finger in the black and I'll be okay. In this case, the inside of these wings are kind of a mess. So it wasn't real neat with my sponge, but again, it's just homemade, so. And you can put him straight on there. Well, maybe he goes best straight. I think I'll put him straight. I was going to put him at an angle, but I think maybe he goes best. Unless we go at this angle. No, I think he goes best straight. He doesn't want to fit well at an angle, so we'll just put him straight. Okay, and last but not least is our Hello Spring with our umbrella. So first of all, I'm going to put my umbrella together. And you got to kind of play around and figure out which piece goes where. Actually, I think that one goes in one spot. I think that one goes here. Make sure you get your pieces in the right places before you start so that you know where to glue them. And then you can successfully start anywhere you want. But if you don't get in the right places, as you notice as I was laying it out, I laid the green one out at the very edge, and it wasn't the very edge piece, the pink one was. So make sure you get them in the right places before you start gluing. I'm just going to slide those off there because it's easier. Because then I want to make sure I also get them lined up. And I kind of use my thumb down here because it's about the right size down here in this middle. But along that outer one, I need to make sure I get him on the outside edge. Pretty perfect. And then like that. And then we'll work our way across. And then on this piece, our Hello Spring has spots on the outside. It has marks on it, but the rest of our pieces do not. The umbrella does not. So we're going to put our Hello Spring on first. Remember what I said, because I used a heat gun to dry my dots, the center of my dots, the inside center, is not dry. So I've got to put it down and not do a lot of sliding. This glue will allow you a few seconds to slide it around, but when you're using it on a piece with dots on it, you do not want to do a lot of that. I'm going to have to do a little bit of that because I didn't get it quite on there straight. But I don't want to do a lot of it, and I want to do it very gently, like that. Okay, and then I'm going to do my letters, and I don't need to do them in order because I have the outlines here that I can do, so it kind of tells me where they need to go. So it'll keep them spaced correctly, and I don't have to try to space them. And there is a top and a bottom to the N. There is a top and a bottom to the S. So make sure you get the top and the bottom correct, or they won't actually line up on their outline, and their outline will stick out underneath them. Outlines are slightly smaller than the actual letters, so you shouldn't see them on the outside edge. And there's that, and then we're going to do our umbrella. And again, we're just going to put some glue on the back, not a big deal. Make sure we get it on our handle and on our tip. And I'm going to lay him at kind of an angle. He's kind of meant to go at an angle. He just barely fits down there. That's okay. We don't need for him to fit. We don't need a lot of space around him. There we go. Look at that. And then now I'm going to show you a way to kind of take this up just a little notch. And that is by using some white dots on each of our umbrella pieces. No, not on all of them. We won't use them in the middle. Give me a little bit of white. Give me a brush. I want a smaller one than I had a minute ago. There we go. And we're going to do this, and we're going to kind of start down and go into my paint. So that'll make my dots be, the first one will be larger than the second one, will be larger than the third one. I said I wasn't going to do any on the middle one, but I think I am. It's just this little things that you can do to give it a little more character. Okay, there we go. Let's get our piece of, and there's our butterfly, and there is our bloom and grow. And those are our 3 spring signs for this year. So there you go, all done, all pretty. We're going to let that dry, obviously, so that I don't touch those little dots.